Hey, it's a Helmet Collector here. And today's video, we're doing a rather large death card unboxing. I think there's like over a dozen plus envelopes, so there were. I had to open some of them because they had the seller's names on the back. We'll start with the envelopes I had to open. First of all, this one was actually still sealed inside the mailer. A good mix of cards. Admittedly, I'm blanking on any in particular, but there's always going to be interesting stuff. Okay, we got that open. And down along the side. And along the top. Alrighty. So we have a couple good cards here. So starting off at the top, Lieutenant de Reserve Joseph Seitz, who was an adjutant on the staff of a Panzer Grenadier Division, bearer of the War Merit Cross Second Class with Swords, who was born on March 26th, 1914 in Kosbaron, was heavily wounded on July 16th, 1944, and it looks like died the same day, and is buried at the cemetery in Tatarkov. So yeah, pretty interesting. I don't think I've had a from a like divisional staff level, so that's pretty cool. Moving to the next card here, we have Heinrich Mueller, who was in Obergefreiter in an Eisenbahn flak battery, so a railway flak battery, I believe. Born September 29th, 1929, or September 29th, 1921, and fell April 1st, 1945 in Lienz, looks like. So it's interesting here, this appears to not actually be a photograph, but a painting, almost, which is pretty neat. And then the back panel is the card here. Given the fact I don't see an Iron Cross on here, I'm guessing this is probably a post-war printed card. Still period, but probably right after the war. Next up, we have the card here for Doctor of Medicine Josef Rieger. Oh yeah, he was a veteran of an Austrian dragoon regiment. That was it, during the First World War. And he passed away on March 29th, 1962, at the age of 77. I don't have a lot of cards for veterans that died, decades after the World War, so I thought this was kind of interesting. So it looks like he lived a pretty long life there. Hopefully I'll be able to do some research on him. So he has pretty good cards. And moving on to the next one here. Got a few more in this mailer. So we have Ludwig Geiger, bearer of the Iron Cross Second Class, and the Wound Badge, maybe, who was born on July 22nd, 1915 in Fischhoek, and was heavily wounded on February 11th, 1944 near Tolkova, which I think is the same town that was listed on... No, Tatarkov. Okay, just sounded similar. And yeah, we have a photo in here. Really cool. We're in a heavy jacket. We've got a helmet there, which has the national shield on the side, so that's pretty cool. That should be a interesting one to research. And next up here we have Franz Grieser, who was an Oberlieutenant and Company Führer in a Geberg's Pioneer Battalion, bearer of the Iron Cross First and Second Class, and I'm guessing various other awards, who was born on December 22nd, 1916 in Günzburg, and fell February 11th, 1944 by Nikopol. And we have a photo of him here. Super cool. You can see his Edelweiss on his sleeve. He's got his Iron Cross ribbon there. Very nice photograph. Unfortunately bent down the middle, but you see that kind of damage fairly often. So next up we have Otto Seibold, who was a soldier in a Grenadier Regiment, born on January 10th, 1924 in Monstetten, and fell on October 8th, 1943 in southern Russia. Pretty cool. He's wearing an RAD uniform there. It looks like he's part of RAD Troop 305. So that should be pretty interesting to do research on as well. Okay, we got a few cards here, and then there's more folded up inside this paper. There's one more folded up inside this paper. This is the card of Josef Roll, who was a Feldwebel in a Grenadier Regiment, bearer of the Iron Cross First Second Class, the War Merit Cross Second Class with Swords, the Panzer Assault Badge, the Eastern Front Medal, the Crimean Shield, and the Wound Badges, who was born on January 2nd, 1919, and fell on May 19th, 1944 in the East. Very highly decorated. Not showing any of his awards in the photo besides his ribbon there. But interestingly, with the Panzer Assault Badge, that means that he was probably in a Panzer Grenadier unit, because they also qualified for the Panzer Assault Badge. Really, so there's two different versions of the Panzer Assault Badge. You have the silver and the bronze. Silver was awarded to tank crews. Bronze, I believe, was basically anybody else that was serving in an armored vehicle. So Panzer Grenadiers, armored reconnaissance units could get the bronze one. I believe so could like armored communication or medical units that were also motorized, also qualified for that. So that's pretty interesting. Now moving into the bag here. Try to be careful not to bend these corners. There we go. All right, so starting off with this one. Very nice, St. Michael on the back. And we have Matthias Derschel, who is an Obergefreiter in a Fahrkolonne, which I believe is like a transport column, who was born on September 16th, 1907, and was heavily wounded and died in a field hospital on June 25th, 1942, near Demensk, it looks like. But yeah, super cool. You can see the 20 on his shoulder board there. It's a pretty nice card. And then the other one that was in that bag is for Michael Velisch and Aloy Kroner. So Michael was a Gefreiter in a Gebersjäger regiment who was born on December 11th, 1908 in Utka and fell on March 8th, 1944 in a hospital. And Aloy Kroner, who was also, he was from Lombok, was born March 4th, 1916 in Huten and fell May 2nd, 1944 in Russia. So I'm assuming that one of these is like an adopted brother, or maybe they're cousins. I'll have to do some more research on that. Given the poor paper quality and the lack of swastikas here, I'm going to go with this is probably a early post-war card. It definitely isn't later than that. I got my jeweler's loop here, and the photographs match period printing. So yeah, definitely an early post-war card would be my guess. So moving on here, I believe this is the last of the open cards before we actually start opening envelopes. First up, we have Martin Langwohner, who is a Gefreiter in a Schlachter company, bearer of the Eastern Front Medal, who died during an attack in Russia at the age of 39. Schlacht company. I don't think I've had a card with Schlachter company on it, but I believe Schlachter is like attack, right? So it's like an attack company. This is pretty neat. These next two are for two sets of brothers. So the first one here, we have Edward Leish and his brother Aloy. So Edward died after being heavily wounded on November 19th, 1941, and his brother Aloy died just a few months earlier on August 6th, 1941. Very nice. We have real photographs here that are actually cut out and glued to the card. Pretty thick photo paper on that as well. And it looks like this must have been in contact with another card for a while, because we have like a ghost image of one on the back there. It's pretty interesting. Now this is pretty neat. Again, early post-war card for Hans and Aloy Doblinger. So Hans was born December 18th, 1918, and is missing as of June 24th, 1944 by Brest-Litovsk. And his brother Aloy here, who was born November 19th, 1925, and fell February 3rd, 1945, before Budapest. So that was the main reason I got this card, is Budapest. The fighting in Budapest is really interesting. There's a lot of odd stuff that happened at like the end of the Hungarian campaign. I just read a great book recently. I think it was called like The Diplomat. That was about basically the Swedish diplomat that was in Budapest trying to save the Jewish population of the city that was still there, and the Nazis were in the process of trying to deport. Very interesting book. But the Battle of Budapest itself is also kind of interesting, has some weird stuff going on. And I have a soft spot for Budapest. It was actually the first European city I was ever in, and one that I have a lot of fun memories of. So moving on here to the first envelope that we're going to be opening up today. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay. And that is enough for me to get it out of there. There we go. So, let's see. Oh, we have a few cards here. So the first card is for Franz Turba, who's an Obergefreiter in a Geberkorps Nachrichten or Communication Abteilung, Born September 13th, 1906, and fell on October 21st, 1944, in Tirana, Albania. Again, probably an early post-war card, I'm guessing. Moving on here, we have Otto Volhammer, who was a Gefreiter in a Geberg's artillery regiment, veteran of the campaign in Poland, who on June 13th, 1940, at the age of 23, fell in an assault on the Marne. So we have a nice French campaign card there, which you don't see too many of those. The next card we have here is for Hans Buchloh, who was an Oberlieutenant and company chief in a machine gun company, bearer of the Iron Cross First and Second Class Eastern Front Medal, who was born on January 17th, 1914. We have a bit of a short documentary there, and then it looks like he was, a short biography there. And it looks like he fell January 18th, 1943, south of Ludogorsk. So, looking forward to doing some research on that. Unfortunately, no photo of Hans on that card. So moving on here to the next one. All right, we have, looks like, one card here. It's a 6-panel. So this is the card of Wilhelm Josef Ludwig Krempel, who was an Obergefreiter and Funker in the Luftwaffe, who was born on August 5th, 1921 in Straubing, and died on March 19th, 1945 in Chaponneau, France. And I remember I bought this card because of this photo here for, if I'm remembering this correctly, his daughter was 3 years old. I think she also passed. So very interesting card here for him and his daughter, which I'd never seen that before. I've seen like a handful of cards where it's like a mother who died like post-World War II and her son will be on there, but I don't think I've ever seen any with a child like that. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And again, given the date and the lack of any Nazi imagery, I'm guessing an early post-war card. There seems to be a theme this episode. Obviously, that's not 100%. You know, they could have just opted not to have that on a wartime card, but given the late date, that seems more likely. Moving on here. Get this out of the envelope. We have a Kriegsmarine card. It's always interesting. Yeah, Kriegsmarine cards tend to command a bit of a premium. Not as much as like SS, but they also don't come up very often either. I seem to be having trouble getting that knife in the gap there. Probably because I'm going from the wrong side. There we go. And now I can get that out of there. So this is the 2-panel card of Theodor Koppenberg, an Obergefreiter in a Marine artillery unit, who was born December 11th, 1921. Looks like he joined the military in 1941, and then fell on April 20th, 1944. All right, so moving on here. So we have the card of Obergefreiter Anton Rausch. A Kraftfahrer in a Panzer Division, bearer of the War Merit Cross Second Class, the driver's badges in bronze, silver, and gold of the Eastern Front Medal, who was born on May 12, 1920 in Oberhingau and fell on October 21st, 1944 in Czerniki, Poland. So, besides the fact I've never actually seen the driver's badge mentioned on a death card before, we have a really interesting outdoor photo here. We can see the trees behind Anton. So I'm guessing that was actually taken in the field, potentially, which is pretty neat. Moving on here, we got 2 more envelopes left, so we're getting near the tail end. I like how sometimes my knife seems to cut these very easily, and then other times it just gets completely hung up. I did sharpen it too, so I'm not sure why it keeps hanging up. Probably need to sharpen it again. All right, so this one, that's the only card in there. So here, if I can get this open. Is it taped in there too? Looks like it is. There we go. All right, so here we have the 4-panel card of Karl Solinger, an Oberfeldwebel and a Grenadier Regiment, bearer of the Iron Cross, 1st and 2nd class, the Eastern Front Medal, the wound badges in silver, the Infantry Assault Badge, and the Close Combat Clasp in bronze, who was born on November 17th, 1914, in Scheid, and fell on December 18th, 1943 in Klagenfurt. So, really cool. I have several cards that mention the Nahkampf badge. I don't think I have one where it's actually shown being worn on the uniform. So very cool. We see his Close Combat Clasp there, his Iron Cross, his Silver Wound Badge, his Infantry Assault Badge. So very nice photo there. Can't tell if he has a cipher on his shoulder board or not, but yeah, super cool. Interestingly, I just noticed the backing of the card is printed upside down, which I don't think I've seen. So we have like a transposal error there. That's super cool, actually. I know, for the most part, I'm more interested in the stories on the cards, but also the manufacturing is interesting to me, so seeing like small mistakes like that's always cool. And then moving on, this is the last envelope here. Hopefully it's a good one. I've had a lot of really cool cards this episode, actually. Alrighty. Let's see what we got. All right, so on this side we have HCOM backing 307, blank, which you don't see very often. Then we have Ludwig Einer, who was a Gardner Eibitzer in Mossing, Panzer Grenadier, and he fell on April 27th, 1945 by Munster at the age of 39. So very, very late war card there. Just like, what, a little over, roughly 2 weeks for the armistice, so... or less. Yeah, less than 2 weeks. But yeah, super cool. Late war card there. I don't think I have any for the Fighting by Munster either, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, we have a... hope you guys enjoyed the video. We have a mess of cards to put in the backlog. So at some point in the next few decades, you'll see videos on these. Apologize for making you wait. But yeah, hope you guys all enjoyed the video. Please leave a comment down below. We'll love hearing from you. Thank you all for watching. Happy collecting, and I'll see you all again very soon.